Hi, my name is Stella and today we're back with a new video that is on the PTE, the Pearson Test of English. Last time I spoke on the IELTS part, the common errors that we make in the reading, listening, writing and speaking of the IELTS test. This time we'll be talking about the PTE. So hi to all of you, and in case you have any queries while you're watching these videos, please let me know so that I can reply as soon as possible. Today we're talking about the common errors that we make in the PTE. It is of course very common that we find lots of videos on the YouTube and lots of material on the internet of about how people tell us or how things go around by telling us what to do in the PTE or in the same in any other test. But here we are going to talk about what not to do, because most of the time people are aware of things that what has to be done, but there are so many things that people are not aware that must not be done in the PTE test. So these are a series of videos that we're going to start for the PTE on all the 4 modules and telling you of what should not be done in the PTE test. So today I'm going to start with the writing part of the Pearson Test of English, and I have listed out 5 common errors that we do in the writing test. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is read instructions properly. Why it is very important to read the instructions properly, especially when you're asked to summarize or when you're asked to write an essay, which is a very common factor. Naturally, like I always say, that because of the exam consciousness, sometimes we are so much in a hurry that we don't read the question properly. So most importantly, you need to read the instructions properly, especially of what the question is told and what is asked from you. Number 2, while reading the instructions, you need to read it fully, not just half information and just make out 1 or 2 words from it and you think that the essay is about it. So that is the reason why sometimes we stray away from the main point. If we talk about summarized written text, then naturally you're supposed to summarize it, and the amount of words that you need to write also is there. So keeping all that in mind, when you're reading the entire passage, there are certain key words that you have to keep in mind. If I give you an example, for the example that is on the board now, it is role of social media in education. So what happens, sometimes students do read the entire line, but the only thing that sticks to their mind is social media, and then they forget about the education part. So they write the entire part about social media and they forget to relate it with the education part. So that is the reason why you need to read the instructions very well. If I talk about the second point, which is very common mistake of all the students, is I read the questions well, but I missed the content. So you do read the questions well. You feel that you've read the instructions very well, you've read the questions very well, but somehow you've missed the content, missed the important words, the important highlights of that particular paragraph. For example, if I give you an essay which is pollution, and if the essay is talk about the effects of pollution on the common people today. So naturally we're talking about the effects of pollution, about like the diseases, the problems, the air gets polluted and all about those things. But then when it comes to writing about the essay, we find that transportation is also a major contribution to pollution. By the second or third paragraph, we find out that we are majorly writing about transportation and we forget it completely to relate it with pollution. So that is the sense which I am saying, that you must read the point properly, you must note the keywords properly while reading the question. So if the question is about pollution relating to health hazards, then the entire essay has to be about that and not instead of writing about transportation. So that's number 2 for you. Read the question every time you finish a paragraph. That is the only way you can stick to the question, fulfill the statement and not stray away from the entire thing which is actually asked from you from the essay. Now if we talk about the third point, make a plan. I know that you find that there is very less time, 20 minutes writing 300 words. So that is completely sometimes very difficult for some students because you need to type it. But then you need to at least plan it for 3 to 4 minutes, which I mean to say is that first of all, after reading the question, you need to first find out what you need to write on the first paragraph, on the second paragraph, on the third paragraph. List out some 3-4 points and mention only those 3-4 points. In case you miss any points or while writing down you find that there are more points that are coming on your mind, you've got to let it go. And especially by the time you come to the conclusion and suddenly one major point comes up to your mind, No, you cannot add that in the conclusion. You have to let it go. The 2 or 3 points that you've mentioned very well, which comes to my next point, is you need to justify and exemplify them very well. If you mentioned a certain point and just mentioned it there by not justifying it well, then the essay is not complete. And that is why this is a reason, major reason, why a student lacks from 6.5 to 7. No doubt they have great ideas. No doubt they have got great sentence structure. The grammar is fine, the vocabulary is fine, but they are not able to justify their ideas or the points that they are given in the essays. So that is the major problem which students face from a 6.5 to 7. If we find that it's just a 0.5 difference, but a 0.5 difference makes a lot of value and makes a lot of difference when you read the essay of a 6.5 and a 7 band essay. So that is the main important, which is very important. You need to plan your essay. You need to at least describe 3-4 points or think about 3-4 points in your mind before you actually start writing your essay. The last part is the grammatical mistakes, which is very important. Naturally, if you are aiming for a 7 band in writing, especially in the PTE, it has to be 0% grammatical mistakes. There should be not even a punctuation that you should miss. You cannot afford to miss a comma, apostrophe S. You cannot miss such things. That is the only reason what is the difference between a 6.5 and a 7 bands in your writing, whether it is for IELTS or PTE. Here, grammatical mistakes, most of the students, the mistakes that are made in the PTE is, which is a very ground rule, is if the noun is singular, the pronoun also must be singular. I've given an example here. Everybody must carry their own lunch. So this is a wrong sentence. It should be everybody must carry his or her own lunch. No doubt, when we speak, it seems to be very correct. Everybody must carry their own lunch. But then it is wrong. When the pronoun is singular, when the noun is singular, the pronoun also has to be singular. So these are the kind of mistakes which you make in your writing, and that is the reason why you're not able to score a very high score. So grammatical mistakes is very important. Let me go through once again all the 5 points. First, read instructions. Very important. You need to read them carefully, what actually you're asked about. Number 2, I read the questions, but sometimes I miss the context or the content because you do not read through. Here, you need to skim and scan. Skim and scan means need to find out what exactly the passage is about. First of all, the main idea of the passage. Number 3, make a plan at least for 3 to 4 minutes. 15 minutes is enough to write a 200 to 250 words essay. So until and unless when you have a plan, you already have framed and planned in your mind, so writing becomes more easier. The flow of thoughts and ideas becomes more easier. The 5th one is grammatical mistakes. Alright, we have another one is divide paragraphs accordingly. Very important. Divide paragraphs accordingly is, for example, I've started my introduction. I do not start exemplifying and justifying and describing things in my introduction. So you need to write your paragraphs very differently and separately. If you're mentioning about one point in one particular paragraph, you have to finish describing that point in one paragraph itself. The second point comes to the second paragraph, and that has to complete there itself. The paragraphs or the ideas must not mix in the paragraph. So each paragraph has to be divided separately. So here we are with the 5 main things which you can improve on your writing in your PT, and I'm sure if you take care of these common errors in your PT writing, you're definitely going to score a 7 above in your PT scores. Thank you very much for joining me, and please tune in for more videos.